This is the new Cyberpunk news for March 17th, 2017. Thanks for tuning in last time and for the encouragement I got. I guess I'll continue today with a follow-up on news report from 2 days ago that broke with regards to a Canadian Kazakh who was arrested on behalf of the American Justice Department in Ancaster, Ontario, an area in Toronto, Ontario. And just to follow up on that, there were 4 individuals who were accused, one who was a Canadian Kazakh, another an American tied to Russia, and 2 Russian intelligence workers. And of course, Russia has categorically denied and doesn't seem like they're interested in cooperating with the apprehension of these 2 individuals. What I understand is these individuals were in fact employees of the Federal Security Service, FSB. And still there's no updates with regards to Baratov himself, the Canadian who was arrested on Tuesday, other than on CBC News website they had changed the rhetoric slightly to portray that maybe this was a politically motivated arrest. Okay, moving on to today's news. So recently Japan offered a common digital currency for the Kuril Islands, which was actually part of Russia, and which is interesting because this shows Japan and Russia's willingness to utilize some type of common currency aside from what is internationally being traded most commonly, which is the American dollar. And I think this goes in response to the relations between US and Russia. Also, another interesting part about this I find is that the Kuril Islands were showcased in the movie Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, and they actually mention and talk about how it's developed into sprawling network of information. It's like it's a city connected with vast amounts of information. So I thought that was interesting. The next thing that's interesting I find is that there was the world's largest diamond that was discovered in Sierra Leone by a pastor over there who has a license for being an artisanal miner. So this is the largest diamond found since 1970s, early 1970s, and it is 706 carats, which is huge, of course. And it's been a long time since we heard any kind of discovery like this. But also like to point out that we with our technology today, we can make our own diamonds if we so chose to make one this size, which really doesn't have any practical purposes. This obviously is going to be cut down to smaller parts and it's going to be sold once it's been polished, finished, and cut. Something interesting I missed yesterday, I wish I had made a post yesterday with regards to this, but this young girl, 30-year-old Luhan Yang, working with Harvard geneticist George Church, has just raised $38 million for the gene editing tool called CRISPR. Now what this does is it basically edits the genetic code in, the intent is to rearrange the genetic code in pig organs. The idea is xenotransplantation, the practice of transplanting organs from other animals into humans so that we can improve our lives. So there's been quite a few breakthroughs with regards to transplanting organs from different animals into humans. Mainly the focus is on pigs, and with their new gene editing tool, they hope to overcome 2 hurdles which they were mentioning, the first of which is the infections that could be caused by the pig organs themselves and what type of bacteria or viruses it carries. And the other is the immunology. It's the body's response to accepting or rejecting that particular organ. So that's a large breakthrough. Could this mean for the future, are we going to start changing our organs, upgrading our organs. Not likely, not from here. It's just another step towards helping the backlog number of people who are requiring organ transplantation. In relation to that, there's a post here. It is a little bit older, but it's just referencing the ideas of using 3D printers to develop organs by injecting stem cells in certain patterns, like by means of 3D printing. So it seems like these two methods of creating transplantable organs are slightly in competition with each other. Let's get on to gaming. So I just saw this trailer for this new video game, Mega Man X Corrupted, which it's been a while since we've seen a Mega Man remake game. This one is made, it's a fan-made game by the production company JKB Games, and you could find them on facebook.com/JKBGames. It seemed like a fun game to check out, and I can't wait till it comes out, because the difference between this Mega Man game and the other ones is that it's open world, very different concept, and I'd be very interested to see how well it plays. The graphics, I know, are going to be incredible, because it's exactly what I expect from Mega Man X, with a few extra levels, touches, and bosses. Okay, so the next interesting tidbit of Cyberpunk news is Facebook wants to crack down on ways developers utilize their APIs to basically profile individuals through their Facebook profiles, Instagram, and other social media profiles. One that was mentioned in this article was the way law enforcement was used to profile Black Lives Matter activists. There's nothing to prevent anyone from doing it. It's just they're creating a new set of rules in order to prevent developers to utilize APIs in order to create a profile of individuals, usually using their social network activities. It's perhaps a response to the amount of surveillance that's being done by the departments of the United States government, the CIA and the NSA, for example. But like it was mentioned, and like I mentioned on the last episode, is that no information is kept secret. Once the information is out there, the information is out there, and people can do what they choose with it. So whether they're making a profile or openly, or whether they're doing it privately and creating some type of justification in order to use it or follow through on certain actions using it, that it doesn't seem like there's going to be a real substantial effect on the practice of creating profiles based on your social media updates or your activity. In relation to that, artificial intelligence is learning to predict and prevent suicide. So this is seems to be a very interesting and beneficial practice in order to prevent suicide and improve on general mental health. It somewhat goes against the previous post in that these social media networks are trying to eliminate the idea of profiling. But what's different from this is that this initiative to learn and predict potential suicide candidates, one of the methods proposed is that listening to the inflection in the voice of the individuals. So if someone would upload a video or audio of themselves, it could be determined the mental stability, I suppose, of the individual by listening to the inflections in their voice. Although this may go against exactly what Facebook had proposed to prevent profiling. So that's exactly what this artificial intelligence is doing, is profiling individuals who are susceptible to suicide or other forms of depression. So I guess this falls in the category of cyberpunk news. Sean Spencer was discussing in the White House the White House's position on the wiretap Trump has accused Obama of in his offices in the Trump Tower. but on the same token, they're standing by their accusation, yet they apologize for implicating the British government involved. So it doesn't seem to be much of a statement. If you're saying, I'm sorry, we implicated you involved, but at the same time they're saying that they stand by what they had initially said, is that Obama, with the help of the British intelligence service, has placed wiretaps on Trump and his administration. What this means to me is that there's a smear campaign against Obama, who was a former representative of the Democratic Party, and since he's no longer supported by the Democratic Party, it would be very difficult for Trump's political opposition to say something to counter his accusation about the wiretaps involving the British intelligence service. So he's strategically picked a person that he's not going to get a great deal of controversy from with regards to wiretapping. It's very possible that Obama has the power in order to implement Trump Towers with some type of surveillance. But whether or not it's true, that's besides the point. So the DNC is not going to come forth to provide any evidence otherwise, and nor does Obama really have any reason to say to defend himself. There is no actual factual evidence. This is again another one of those things that Trump is just getting out there and saying without any type of backing, which is, it seems to be his motif. If this can continue, we could just, if we look back to 2001, 2003, where were the weapons of mass destruction? It again goes along with a very similar thing. Where are these weapons of cyber attacks? And really, we should be investigating this further. We should be a little bit more open rather than to be so oh my gosh about it. What is the intent? What is Obama's intent, Mr. Trump? Then the question should be posed to Mr. Trump. What was his intent on wiretapping his office if he's not really connected with the DNC any longer? Again, I'll reiterate, it's just a smear campaign designed to go over the heads of the general audience. This can leave an uneasy feeling for anyone, making them think that someone could be watching me at any time. Maybe Obama and his cronies are watching me. Maybe Trump is watching me. It's just putting in the minds of the viewers and the listeners that anyone who is not on my side, they could be listening in on what I'm doing. Whether or not that gives them any type of advantage, it causes people to think twice about openly speaking. Cybersecurity is a tool that is used for war. Just similar to the use of chemical weapons, it is illegal to use chemical weapons in warfare. So similarly, this type of rhetoric is being built around the idea of using cyber weapons. It should not be allowed for a certain party to be using cyber weapons, although the other party may be just as well be using these cyber weapons. With the rhetoric that cyber security is a very important thing, this is something we should be considered. This is something to debate during campaigns. Although they didn't debate it during any campaigns, nothing too seriously. There was just accusations flying. Oh, you're hacking here, they're hacking here. And they somehow managed to change the vote. So these accusations were being thrown around during this campaign, but there was no actual discussion to cybersecurity and moving forward during that campaign. So we're still in an age, although we're more than 20 years in with the internet and sharing information through web pages, emails, and social media, we're still in this mode of not being quite certain as to what the purpose of cybersecurity is and why would someone conduct this type of surveillance.
But also, importantly, there is.
So that's it for today's Cyberpunk news. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe to keep up with more news, and have a good day.